Okay, the notes for this assignment. This is the third worksheet. This is worksheet number 3. Notes on negative exponents. All right, so follow here. I'm going to show you kind of an easier way to approach this. And it's going to ask you to simplify, right? Simplify. All right, number 1. I got b to the power of -4 and b to the power of -7. Yes, I know that we learned that we don't want negative exponents, and then I would move this one up, and I would move this one down, and then you'd have to do a couple of more steps, and you'd still get the right answer. But I'm going to show you a much easier way to kind of look at this, so you don't have to do too many things, right? What I'm going to ask you to do is, if they're both negative, you're going to want to only make one move. You're going to only want to make move one of them. Either I'm going to move the bottom one in the denominator up, or you're going to move the one in the top to the bottom. Because essentially you want to have them both at the same place. Either they're both going to be in the numerator or they're both going to be in the denominator. So which one to move? Which one to move? I'm going to tell you right now. It's probably not going to make sense, but you'll see right now why. The one you want to move is, well, I know they both have negatives, but the 7 or the 4, the 7. You want the 7 to move up, and I'm going to tell you why. We're going to move up the 7. So I'm going to write it over here. I want to keep the original problem here intact. And why am I moving the -7 up? Well, because, and remember, once you move this up, there's nothing left in the bottom, or there's always a 1, right? 1 times b7, there's always a 1, but there's really nothing left over. The b -4 is still there, but now, right, because I want them both either on the top or both on the bottom. Now, when I move this -7 to the top, remember, it changes sign. It changes to a +7. And this is why you want to move the bigger one, because now when I subtract, this is like 7 take away 4, right? Now we're seeing the product rule. Right, we got a product rule right here. And now I don't have to do division, I just do product rule, because I'm moving them both to the same place. And since I moved the bigger one that was negative up, now it becomes positive. Now 7 take away 4, when you add these, right, because that's the product rule. I keep the b and I add these. I'm going to get a positive exponent, right? We don't want to have negatives. And 7 take away 4, or -4 plus 7 is the same as 7 take away 4. Our answer is b to the +3. Now, if you would have moved this and you would have added this, and this would have been b -3, well, all you had to do is just move it down to the bottom and change it to positive. But if you just remember, if they're both negative and you move the one that's bigger, then that bigger one will turn positive, and when you subtract, you'll get a positive exponent, and you're done. Let's look at another one, number 2. K to the -6 and k to the -4. When they're both negative, again, see, they both have negative exponents. The 6 is bigger than the 4, right? So I'm going to move this one down. Move the bigger one down. Now, there's nothing left on top, we write a 1. If there's nothing left on top, you write a 1 in the numerator. And the k -4 was already there. See, I didn't have to move 2 of them, you just move 1. And now this is going to be k to a +6. See, right? Because it was negative here. When you move it down, it becomes positive. And why am I telling you to move the positive one down? Because now when you do this work here and you do the product rule, the product rule says, why, we still got a 1 in the numerator, we keep the base, which is k, and we add this. Well, negative 4 plus 6 is the same as what? 6 take away 4. See, and when you add them, you'll get a positive exponent. That's what you want. I don't want to have to deal with negative exponents. So that when I add them and I do product rule, the answer is 1 over k what? 6 take away 4? 2. And when there's 1 in the numerator, you got to leave it up there, huh? Okay, number 3. 2a negative 4 and 5a negative 1. Now, if these are regular numbers, remember, these rules for moving it up and down is only for exponents. If you had a negative here for the negative 2, you can't move it down. That's just a regular negative number. Okay, but these you'll always check and see if maybe they can reduce. You can't reduce a 2 and the 5, so just leave it. A 2 and the 5 will be part of the answer. So I still got the 2 and the 5. There's no way to reduce that. But if I have the negative 4 and the negative 1, what am I helping you to do here and how to do this with less steps? The bigger one, the 4. Here's a 4, here's a 1. Move, again, if they're both negative. I'm going to move this one down. I'm going to move the negative 4 down. So what's left on top? Just the 2. And then here you still have the 5, you still have the a negative 1, but this negative 4, when you move it, remember when you move it, it changes sign, so that's a positive 4. Yeah? And now when you do these together and you do the product rule, you'll get what? 2, 5, that's still there, the numbers are still there. You keep the a and you add these exponents. Negative 1 plus 4 is the same as 4 take away 1. It'll give me a 3. Okay. Now, if I were to have moved this one up, I would have had a negative 4 times what? A positive 1. See, that adds up to a negative. I mean, it's fine. You'll have a negative 3 on the top, but then you can just simply move it down to make it positive. And see, you'll get the, but I'm showing you how you just move the bigger one, the bigger number. And so when you add it, you're guaranteeing yourself a positive exponent. We don't want to leave anything with negative exponents. All right, number 4. Right, they're going to get more challenging. What if you see something like this? X negative 2, y negative 2 over 4, y negative 5. Oh. So here's where you got to kind of organize yourself. Remember, there's numbers, and then there's variables, and then we're going to look at that. So I'm going to show you how I kind of look at this, and I don't get this mixed up. Let me look at numbers. What do I got on the numbers? On the numbers, even though there's not a number here, we know it's a 1 and a 4. I'm going to put those right over each other. And then I'm going to leave a little space just so that I can distinguish. And then there's an x here, but there's no x here, right? So that x negative 2 is all alone, and I'm just going to leave an empty space here because there's nothing else to go with this x. And notice how I'm kind of leaving some space. And then finally the y, there is one. There's a y over here, negative 2, and a y what? Negative 5. So notice how I'm kind of vertically, like up and down, kind of organizing them and put them in order. This way, look, I don't want you to draw this line, but this way I'm focusing on just these numbers. When I look at the numbers, if there was another x, I would just look here, and then here I can just look at they're right under each other, or they're right, one on top, one below. And I'm not confusing this 4 with this. I'm not looking at this with this. Okay, so then first, is there anything to reduce on the 1 and the 4, right? No. Oops. Well, there's the 1 and the 4 is fine. And what work is there for you to do here? Well, there's nothing to do with the x because there's not another one, but I cannot leave it with a negative 2. So this one has to go where? Down. Right? It's going to go down. And then finally, for the y's, I got a negative and I got another negative. What have I been asking you to do? You got to move one of them so that they're both either at the top or they're both at the bottom. I don't want to have to move both and do a bunch of other work. So I'm just going to move 1. What have I been telling you? The bigger number. Well, 5 is bigger than 2, right? So now this is the one that's going to move up. All right, let's see what happens now. We still got the 1 and the 4. That's still there. This x negative 2 is no longer here. You moved it to the bottom, so it can be what? A positive 2 here. And you still have this y negative 2, and now we're bringing this together, and now we got the y with a positive 5, right? It was negative here, you moved it up, it's positive. Now these can be simplified and work together, right? The product rule. If you have the same base, you add these. So negative 2 plus 5 is the same as what? 5 take away 2. So that's going to give you what? Y3. So your final answer is 1y3. That's the only thing left on the bottom. I'm sorry, on the top in the numerator. If there's something else other than just 1 by itself, you don't have to write the 1. And what's left on the bottom? 4x squared. Make sure that there shouldn't be any other y's anywhere. There shouldn't be any other x's anywhere. And there should be no negative exponents. Okay, number 5. Let's do another one. All right, we're building up here. A negative 3, m negative 4 over a negative 8, m negative 1. Oh, they all have negative exponents. All right, well, let me copy it over so I have my problem intact here. A negative 3, m negative 4, a negative 8, m negative 1. Okay. Again, let me just see, like put them right over each other. Sometimes they'll be switched. So that's another reason that they'll try to trick you. They'll put the m under here and the a over here. So you rewrite it, make sure that the same letter is under itself, the same letter is under itself. I want to move them both to the same place. And I'm going to move this one up. Remember 8, the bigger one up, so it'll be positive. And between 4 and 1, which one's bigger? The 4. That means the 4 is going to go down. So right now, the ones that did not move were the a negative 3. That one didn't move. And the m negative 1 didn't move, right? So make sure, let's copy those first. The a negative 3 didn't move, and the m negative 1 didn't move. I'm going to bring this one to this a. And if that's negative 8, but when I move it up, it'll be what? Positive 8. And this negative 4, it's negative here, but when you drop it down, it's what? I'll write it over here, positive 4, right? And now, see, I have them in the same level. Either they're both in the numerator or they're both in the denominator. But now when you add, see, now when you do this, I keep the a and I do negative 8 plus 3, right? That's the product rule. And then this one here, you keep the base and you add the exponents. 4 plus negative 1, well, it's the same as 4 take away 1. And this is the same as 8 take away 3. And then that should be easy, right? So that's going to be a5, 8 take away 3 is 5. And what? 4 take away 1, 3. Okay, 6. x2, x negative 4, y negative 1, y negative 3. Now look at here. Now, here I got one positive, one negative, and here I got both negative. Well, here we go. Do I want to move a positive and bring it down and make it negative? No. So obviously here, the negative one is the one that I don't want. I don't want it to stay negative. So obviously this one's going to move up. So let me write that here. That means I have the x2, and I'm bringing the what? X negative 4 with it, but when you move it up, it's x what? Positive 4, right? I kept that one up there, and then this one's negative, so I moved it up so they can both be together and they're both positive. Now let's look at the y's. What happens when they're both negative? I don't want to move 2. That's kind of what I'm showing you today. When you see both negative, you don't want to move both. Just move one of them. What have I been showing you? Move the one that's, here's a 1, here's a 3. The 3's bigger. That's the one you want to move. So the y negative 1 stayed, y negative 1, it's staying on the top in the numerator. And this one that's in the denominator, the negative 3, when I move it up, it's going to be what? Y positive 3. And guess what? There's nothing left on the bottom, so we put a 1. And really, we don't have to write the 1 anymore. We're just going to get the answer. What do we do with the x and the 2 and the 4? Well, you add them. And what do you do with the y negative 1 plus 3, right? You add those also. Oops, sorry. And our final answer is going to be what? X to the 6, right? 2 plus 4 is 6. And negative 1 plus 3 is the same as 3. Take away 1, so that's 2. Okay. Last one, number 7. Negative 4, x4, y negative 4. I know this is going to look intimidating. Negative 3, x negative 1, y negative 2. Wow, there's just negatives everywhere, right? It looks intimidating. You got this. Okay, remember, if it helps you to separate it, separate them, or sometimes they won't be in order. I'm going to put the numbers here. And now you can draw a little line if you want. Then I'm going to put the x here. And I'm going to change color so that you guys can see that that's going to stay with that. And then I'm going to do the y's over here. See, I'm writing them right under each other, and I'm kind of separating. I'm kind of just giving them some space so I can see. This is one little problem. This is one little problem. This is one little problem. Right? But really, these lines are invisible. These negatives are not a negative exponent. You can't get this negative 4 and drop it. No. We can only do this moving and moving down business for negative exponents. Here, this is just negative divided by negative. Negative divided by negative is going to turn what? Positive. So for the numbers, if it has these whole numbers, these negatives right here are not negative exponents. Okay, so don't move this up and don't do that. Here for the x4, that one's going to stay x4 on the top, and I'm moving this one up. I'm moving this negative 1 up, so that's going to be positive 1. So I'm going to put it together with this one, right? And for the y's, which one have I been talking about to move when you see both of them negative? The bigger one. So that means the negative 2 stays here, and I'm going to bring this one down. And it's going to be what? Remember, when you move it, it changes the sign. So now it's positive 4. All right, and we can get our answer now. The numbers didn't have to reduce, and they're going to stay 4 and 3. x4 and x1 more is x what? 5 in the numerator here. And what do I do here with the y negative 2 and y4? We add these. Negative 2 plus 4 is the same as 4 take away 2, so that's y2. Okay, there it is. Good luck with this assignment.